are we doing the initial assessments, we need to make sure that all of the students that you've enrolled, and by the way, just on the enrolment, it's really important that you have got the students in now that you want to be part of the program, because we're in the process of giving them all logins. Easy to withdraw students, but not to put them in. So by the end of today, it would be really good to have all of the students enrolled. The e-teachers, Susie and Breda, will use the initial assessment information just to help them prepare for their classes. And of course it can be used for your MOE funding purposes. We don't want any double ups. And if you've already done some testing, you might in fact be able to use that in place of something that we've suggested. So we're asking the e-tutors to do this with guidance from the mainstream teacher, and we've got a range of tests to make sure that all areas are covered. So that's enough of me talking. What I'm going to ask you to do now is to have a look at the range of assessments that we've got. You'll see that some of the links are live and some aren't. We don't want you to click on everything because that's the next task. So click on the links that are live and just have a little play. It'll take you to some of the tests and some of the templates that we're using. So by the way, when you leave the Adobe, can you click on a new tab so that it's easy to come back? When you come back, you'll find the whiteboard with a couple of questions on about how you found the different tests that you clicked on. So we're not asking you to do any of the tests yet. That's the next guided task activity. So the couple of questions there, were the instructions clear? Do you kind of understand what to do? And have you got any questions or comments? Remember to write, you can see the green arrow there, just click on the whiteboard tools and then click on the text tool. Okay, so generally it seems as though you're okay with the range of assessments and the instructions. I think probably when you do some of the tests yourself, then it'll kind of make the instructions even more clear. In putting them online, we had to be very careful that we didn't lose the integrity of the tests themselves, and I think that we've done okay there, but we'd like your comments for many of the students. But yeah, so if they're foundation, they would do the first 126 high frequency words, and that's in the foundation tests with the first guided task I took you through. So you will know whether the nations one is going to be too difficult. That's they need to have be working around the 500 word towards the 1,000 word for that one. The speaking, I agree that it might be a bit scary to begin with, but we have found that children surprise us online, so give it a go. And again, with the reading close, that first one is set at foundation level, so it will be, I'd like you to try it with the foundation students, but yeah, it'll just be interesting to see how they get on. Any other kind of verbal comments you want to make? Great. Alright, so just very quickly, we're just going to look at what the e-teachers will do now, and before every module they will do some work with students just to build on what students know and can do. And there's a range of assessment tools that can be used, and we're not going to do this now, but sometime you might like to go to the orientation module, click on Camp A, and just find some examples of what they're going to use for self-assessment and what they're going to use as a pre-module test. So this is just as background information so you know what's going to happen. Then for the formative assessment, that's going to take place right through the teaching and learning process. There will be work that will be done and tests that will be done at key points through each module. Now these are going to be entered into the Moodle gradebook. That just happens automatically, and we're also using portfolios, and we will try and get you to access those in a moment. So this is your next guided task, and Hazel will put the links in the chat. There are two different kinds of e-portfolios, and we've got a learner called Zara, who's kind of typical learner, and we're going to have a look at Zara's public e-portfolio and her private e-portfolio. Now this is not in Moodle, it's in ELLINZ, but I think that you'll find there isn't much difference. You won't realise you're in a separate area. Very quick roundup on summative assessment. That's going to be really important for us to so that we can make sure that students have moved in their learning. So we're going to do time 1 data mid-year and time 3 data at the end of the year. We're going to use a range of assessments, and the thing that you need to know is that you will be able to use that information. Just so that you know who sees the assessment data, in the student's grade book, e-tutors and mainstream teachers can see all the grades, but the students can only see their own grade. And we've already talked about the e-portfolio. With the private one, students can decide who they share the link with. Now, this is a really important one. For each student, we'll have an e-profile record of progress, which is linked to the English language learning progressions. And there will be a huge amount of information loaded on for each student that we will make available for your school to use. Okay, so that just takes us to the evaluation. These workshops that we're running, it's really, really important that we get your feedback so that when we do it for the rollout, we can improve on procedures. And I realise that some of the frustration is not being able to access the links, and there's actually not too much that we can do about that. But if you could click on that link, I promise you it will only take you about 2 or 3 minutes, and it's best to do it now because it's kind of fresh in your mind. So thank you.